My dear warriors, welcome back to the new episode. Well, they did everything to stop you. Everything. They whispered your downfall in the dark, fed their lies to the world like poisoned wine, hoping you'd drink it all in, hoping you'd choke on it. They thought they knew you, didn't they? They thought they understood your weaknesses, your breaking points. How easy it would be to crush you, to see you crumble into dust under the weight of their manipulations. But here's the bitter truth. Those who plotted against you underestimated the very thing they were trying to extinguish: your resilience. You see, they had a plan. They thought they'd created the perfect weapon to break you. Betrayal, false promises, silent stabs in the back. It's easy, isn't it? The old tricks, the classic moves to bring a person to their knees. But they couldn't fathom the depth of your spirit. They couldn't comprehend what you were really made of. You don't just bend, you don't break. You rise. You always rise. While they thought they were pressing you into a corner, trapping you in the darkness, they had no idea that the shadows were your home. They thought they'd taken everything from you, but all they did was sharpen you. Like steel that's tempered in fire, you didn't crumble under the pressure, you hardened. You grew, and that's the part they'll never understand. They didn't realize that the more they tried to stop you, the stronger you became. So here you are, standing tall when they thought you'd be reduced to nothing. And what do they see now? A reminder that no matter how deep they push you into the ground, the seed of your power can never be buried. They thought they could crush your spirit. They thought the world would see you as a failure, as someone beaten down, someone lost in their wake. But the joke's on them, isn't it? Because every attempt to break you only became a spark that ignited the fire inside you. Every act of sabotage, every cruel word they spat at you, it all fueled the beast that was waiting to come out. They weren't fighting you. They were only awakening what they should have feared. What do they see now, huh? Do they see the shattered person they thought they'd left behind? Or do they see something else entirely? A force of nature that cannot be controlled. A person who's untouchable because they no longer care for their schemes, their petty games. You've moved beyond them. You've evolved into something that cannot be stopped, no matter how hard they try. And here's the real kicker. They're terrified. They're terrified of what you've become. Terrified of the monster they created with their own hands. They thought they were pulling the strings, playing you like a puppet. But now you've cut the strings. And now you're the one in control. They can't look at you without seeing the reflection of their own failure in your eyes. It's their mistakes staring them in the face, and they can't escape it. They thought that by breaking you, they could make you disappear. They thought you'd be a shadow, nothing more than a faint memory of what could have been. But instead, you've become the storm. The very thing they hoped would fall apart is now the hurricane that's about to sweep them all away. Their plans, everything they tried to do to crush you, to keep you down, has backfired. Oh, but you're not done yet. No, you're just getting started. Look at them, staring at you with wide eyes, unsure of whether they're witnessing the resurrection of someone they thought they could defeat, or the birth of something new altogether. They can't quite place it, can they? They never understood the strength it took to get back up again. They don't know what it's like to rise from the ashes, to feel the weight of the world on your shoulders and still refuse to be crushed. But you do, and that's why they're shaking. That's why they can't stop you. They thought they were dealing with someone fragile. They thought they were dealing with someone who could be erased with the flick of a wrist. Someone who could be buried in the dirt with a few clever moves. But now, they're faced with something they never saw coming. Something they can't defeat. A force forged by the very betrayals they threw at you. A monster born from their contempt. But let's not get too comfortable. You're not the type to sit back and let the world congratulate you for what you've become. No, that's not you. You don't need their approval. What you need is to remind them of the truth they tried so desperately to bury. Remind them of what happens when you push someone to the edge. They'll see it, won't they? They'll see how their mistakes have created a nightmare they can't escape. They'll realize, too late, that you were never meant to break. So, they did everything they could to stop you. They built their walls, they planted their traps, they made their moves. But in the end, all they did was pave the way for you to rise higher. They couldn't see it then, but they see it now. The monster they tried to bury is the one they should have feared. The person they thought would be their victim is the one who's now hunting them down. They played their hand, but they didn't realize what kind of game they were playing. They thought they were smart, that they knew the rules. But you, oh, you played them. You played them so well. And now it's time to show them what happens when you think you can control the chaos. They thought you were done, but they didn't know you. And that's the thing, they never will. To them, you were a puzzle, something to be solved. But you're not a puzzle. You're the bomb they set off, and now they have to deal with the fallout. And when the dust settles, they'll understand one thing clearly. They failed. They failed to stop you. They failed to break you. They failed to destroy you. But you, oh you did something even worse. You came back stronger. And that's the one thing they'll never be able to stop. Not now, not ever. The dust settles, but it doesn't erase the truth. The truth that they were wrong. The truth that they never understood you. Now, they are left with the hollow sound of their own failure echoing in their ears. But do they feel it? Do they sense the weight of their own mistakes crushing them from the inside out? Do they realize what they've unleashed? You've become something they can't ignore, something that doesn't fit into their neatly constructed world. They tried to cage you. They thought they could break your spirit, shackle you to their lies. But in doing so, they birthed something far worse than what they anticipated. They created a force that doesn't bend, doesn't break, doesn't beg, a force that only knows how to move forward. Now they watch from the sidelines, trapped in the wreckage of their own creation, unable to stop the inevitable. The storm they thought they could control is now bearing down on them with an unstoppable fury. And while they cower in the corner, questioning their every move, you stand at the center of the chaos. You are the eye of the storm. You are the one who controls the winds. And they are the ones helplessly swept along by the very forces they tried to wield against you. The more they tried to stop you, the more their hands became tied. The more they thought they could erase your existence, the more you rose from the depths they tried to bury you in. You didn't just survive, You adapted, you evolved, and now you are a presence they cannot hope to diminish. They thought you'd be left broken, scattered to the wind like the ashes of a fallen empire, but that was never your fate. They thought that by isolating you, by turning the world against you, they could ensure your downfall. But what they didn't understand is that isolation breeds strength. It forges clarity. It sharpens focus. While they were busy plotting your demise, you were busy finding yourself. You were busy reinventing what it means to be untouchable, invincible, a force that operates outside the bounds of their expectations. And now they see it. They see the consequences of their arrogance, the price they're paying for underestimating you. They wanted to break you, to make you feel small, insignificant. But what they didn't anticipate was that in breaking everything around you, they would make you stronger. They gave you a reason to rise higher. They gave you the drive to become the very thing they feared. How poetic, isn't it? The ones who thought they were orchestrating your end, who thought they could break you down with their lies, their manipulations, their games, they're the ones now gasping for air, struggling to stay afloat as their own plans sink beneath the weight of your resurrection. They tried to write your obituary, but they failed to realize they were only writing your legend. They underestimated the power of your will. They thought they could see the cracks in your armor and exploit them. But what they missed was the fact that your armor wasn't made of fragile steel. It was forged in something far more unyielding. It was made of the fire that burned through their lies, the blood that spilled from their betrayals. It was made from the broken pieces of every time they tried to knock you down and every time they failed. They thought you'd stay down, that you'd never recover. But the truth? The truth is that you didn't just recover. You evolved into something they couldn't control. They wanted to bury you, but in trying to do so, they created the conditions for your rise. It's the greatest irony they'll never be able to grasp. Now they're panicking, scrambling to figure out where they went wrong, but it's too late. The damage has been done. Their attempts to diminish you have only increased your power. They were so focused on what they thought they could take from you that they didn't notice what you were quietly building in the shadows. They never saw the monster growing in the dark. And now it's too late. You see, they believed they could stop you, but they couldn't have been more wrong. Their vision was clouded by their own fear, their own self-preservation. They underestimated your hunger for victory, your drive to prove them wrong. They never understood that you're not the type to be broken. You're the type to build an empire from the rubble of the world they tried to destroy. What happens next is simple. They will watch. They will watch as everything they thought they could control slips through their fingers. They will watch as you continue to rise, as you continue to push forward, no matter how hard they try to stop you. And in the end, it will be them who are left in the dust, staring at the remains of their own failure, while you stand at the pinnacle, stronger than ever. Their mistake wasn't just in thinking they could stop you. Their mistake was in thinking you were like everyone else. They thought they could break you with their lies, their deceit, their betrayal. But you were never like everyone else. You were never a victim. You were never someone to be counted out, to be dismissed. You were always the one waiting in the shadows, ready to rise when the time came. And that time is now. It doesn't matter how many times they tried to keep you down, how many times they tried to erase you. Every attack, every plot, every move they made only made you more dangerous. You've turned their cruelty into your power. You've turned their failures into your fuel. And now, they are left with nothing but the realization that they were never in control. They've done everything to stop you. But now, they're faced with a harsh reality. You are unstoppable. You are unbreakable. And the harder they fight against you, the stronger you become. In the end, it will be them who fall. You'll continue to rise stronger than ever. And when they look at you, when they see the monument to your resilience standing tall, they'll understand the one truth that will haunt them for the rest of their miserable lives. They could never stop you. And now, they never will. The game is over. But you don't need to look back to know how the story ends. The pages have already been written, and the ink is still fresh. The consequences of their actions unfolding with every passing second. The very people who thought they had orchestrated your demise are now standing on the precipice, watching as everything they built crumbles beneath them. It's almost poetic, isn't it? They played their cards, calculated their every move, and they believed they were always a step ahead. But now, they realize, too late, that the game was never theirs to win. They've been reduced to pawns, scrambling to make sense of a world that's slipping out of their control. And what are you now? What does this moment mean for you? The one they tried to bury beneath layers of lies and deception. It means nothing, because this was never about proving anything to them. It was never about seeking validation or revenge. It was always about showing them the one thing they never thought they'd see: your rise from the ashes, stronger and more relentless than before. Now, they've been cast into the shadows, looking up at the very person they tried to erase, and they don't know how to stop what's coming. There's no escape, no way to undo what's been done. The truth they feared is now standing before them, and they can't run from it. They tried to trap you, corner you, break you, but they never understood that you were never meant to be contained. You were the storm they couldn't weather. You were the darkness they couldn't hide. What they don't know is that this moment, the very one they thought would be their triumph, is their undoing. They believed they were in control, that they could dictate your fate. But they couldn't have been more mistaken. They thought they knew your limits, your weaknesses. But the truth? The truth is that they never saw what you were capable of. They thought they had the upper hand, but they never realized that you had been playing your own game all along. And now, the game is over. They've lost, and you've won. You've become the very thing they feared. You've become a symbol of everything they can never control. And what's worse for them? You're not finished. No, far from it. This isn't your final act. This is just the beginning. Because what they don't realize is that every battle you've fought, every wound they've inflicted on you, has made you stronger. The more they tried to break you, the more you found ways to rise. They underestimated your willpower. They underestimated your hunger to survive, to thrive. And now, they're left with nothing but the wreckage of their own arrogance. So what's left for them? What can they do now? as they watch everything they've worked for collapse under the weight of their own mistakes? They can only stand there, helpless, unable to stop the inevitable. They can only watch as you continue to rise higher, as you continue to move forward with a force they can't fathom. Because in the end, their attempts to control you, to manipulate you, to break you, have only served to propel you into a future they can't touch. They can see it now, can't they? The future that was meant for them, now slipping through their fingers. Their hopes, their dreams, their carefully constructed plans, all of it lies in ruins. And what remains for them? A lesson they will never forget. A lesson in underestimating the power of someone who refuses to be broken. You've made them see the truth they tried so desperately to hide from themselves. The truth that no matter how many times they try to knock you down, you will always rise. The truth that no matter how hard they fight, no matter how much they try to destroy you, you will always find a way to come back stronger. They thought they could stop you. They thought they could destroy you. But they were wrong. They always were. And now, they have to live with that mistake. And so, they stand at the edge of their own defeat, staring at the mess they've created, unable to do anything but watch as you continue to rise above them. They are the ones who've been left behind, forgotten, while you move forward into a future of your own making. The power has shifted. The control is yours. And as for them, they are left in the shadows, haunted by their own actions, trapped by the consequences of their choices. They cannot run from the truth that now stares them in the face, the truth that they underestimated you. They cannot escape the reality that no matter how hard they tried, they were never able to break you. You were always too strong, too relentless, and now they have no choice but to watch as you continue to build, to rise, to claim what is rightfully yours. So what now? What's left for you? You walk away, but not out of defeat. No, you walk away because there's nothing more to say, nothing more to prove. You've already done what they thought was impossible. You've already shown them that no matter how many times they try to knock you down, you will always rise again. And as you walk away, they'll understand one thing. They were never dealing with someone they could control. They were never dealing with someone they could defeat. They were dealing with a force that was beyond their understanding, beyond their reach. They tried to break you, but now they realize they've only made you stronger. And that in itself is their curse. Now, as the smoke clears and the dust settles, there's one thing they'll never be able to erase: your name, your power, your rise. And it's too late for them to stop it. They've lost. You've won. And there's nothing they can do to change that.